and I'm a therapist and an educator, and I wanted to talk to you about something that's not often talked about. I will sometimes be approached by people and they'll say to me, I don't think I was in kind of a cult, but I was meeting with a counselor, or I had a therapist or a coach who kind of made me feel like I somehow couldn't end therapy with them, or they took over my life. Could it be that some people who tout themselves as therapists, who are licensed, some who are unlicensed, counselors, coaches, could they be dangerous? So let me give you some guidelines. There's sort of 8 points that I want you to be able to watch out for, so that you can kind of get the red flags yourself and you will know. And then as soon as you find that out, I implore you to leave that therapeutic relationship, because it is not therapeutic. The first thing to do is to see if you're not allowed to disagree. If you can't disagree with your counselor, your therapist, your coach, and if you do, you're called difficult, you're called resistant, that somehow they put you down, that means they know you're going to be kind of testing them. They don't want to be tested. They don't want to be disagreed with. And they need the power. They need to be in charge of you. And they also think they are kind of, as I put it, righter than thou. They're always going to be right and you're always going to be wrong. It's very unhealthy. The other part is if they give you advice to follow, and if somehow your life doesn't get better after following their advice, it's because you didn't follow it right, or it's because you're not coming to enough therapy. Somehow that's on you, so that they can offer you these techniques. If they don't work, then you're doing them wrong. It could be that the techniques don't work. It could be that their advice was bad. It could be that their role shouldn't even be to give you advice unless you've needed it. And so that's a very unhealthy dynamic as well. The third thing is that someone who wants that kind of power over you will make you dependent on them. So someone to watch out for who's in a position of kind of authority in these kind of quote-unquote therapeutic relationships will tell you not to make any decisions without checking with them first about anything, because they will convince you, kind of left to your own devices, you'll make the wrong decision. And so in order to keep yourself safe, hold off on really making a decision about anything and talk to them first. That is never okay to do, because then you will become dependent on them and you will feel like you have to follow what they say, and they could also be wrong. And it could be that the advice you were going to follow was your own and it may have been really right. The other thing to watch out for is if you're pushed to share really private information about yourself way before you really know the person you're working with, way before you feel comfortable sharing those things. You can't set your boundary. They won't respect them. They want to get into your mind really fast. And if you are setting up your own emotional timeline, that needs to be respected. And also, if you don't feel like sharing something quickly or soon with someone you're working with, it could be because you're intuiting something is off here and you don't trust how they're going to handle the information that you share with them. So it's diagnostic in that moment as well. Someone who's a counselor who wants, for lack of a better term, to have repeated business is going to manufacture drama, is going to manufacture issues in your life. You're going to come in wanting to talk about one thing, and they're going to add 10 things onto your list of things to deal with. They'll have you create fights with your spouse. They'll have you create fights with your children, with your parents. They'll have you create fights with your boss, or have you not trust all of these people somehow. They will tell you that based on their interpretation of things, they can see that those people really don't care about you, or maybe you were abused and maybe you have repressed memories. They're going to kind of kick up the dirt much more than you needed, and also much more than usually fits the situation. And so in that way, they probably want more money, they want more power, and they want more dependency. So the other thing is that people who want that kind of control over you are going to tell you you need to check in with them in between sessions, or they're going to check in with you. Now, if you're in crisis, that makes sense, but if you're not, they need to leave you alone. And you shouldn't have to have them on your mind in between sessions. That's also a way to create that kind of dependence. And it also is the therapist saying, I want you to think about me. And that shouldn't ever be part of the therapeutic relationship. Really watch out if the person you're working with wants to get together with you outside of therapy or the coaching sessions. If they want to have drinks with you, if they start to kind of touch you in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, if they want to hug you even though you don't really want to hug them, if they start making positive comments about your appearance, it gets creepy and you need to leave. Sometimes people do develop an attraction to their counselor, but that's okay for you, even though it can be really tricky. But it is never okay for that kind of attention to come from your counselor to you. The last part is, and this is something really, really important, an unhealthy therapeutic relationship is one where you don't get to end it. If you say, okay, I think I'm good, I don't need any more therapy, I think I can take a break, and the counselor says, no, you're not ready. You are not ready to take a break. You have this breakthrough that's right around the corner, and if you just stay longer, you'll get there. Or they'll kind of bait you, like, really? So what are you afraid of? And then you want to prove to them that you're not afraid to continue. If you say, I think I need to take a break, if you say, I think I need to end therapy, the counselor is supposed to say, okay. And then they'll help you go through kind of the termination process and then hope that everything goes well in your life. That's a counselor who doesn't have ego in the game. They don't need to hang on to you. And so if you see any of these signs, it's time for you to go meet with somebody else. There are many other choices and many other people who are healthy. Be safe and take good care.